What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the NYG Blue Zone. It's your boy Atticus. Today, we are going to talk about the head coaching search because why not, right? There's a lot of news that's been coming out lately about the different people that are available. And I need to say that Joe Shane, who ownership has already said is going to stay as the general manager, they feel real confident about this guy. And there are a lot of people who feel that he should have been gone, but he's the guy and he's making this decision. And because he's the guy, I really hope he gets this right, because and it's interesting because this is probably the best pool of available candidates to fill a head coaching position that we've seen in probably forever, certainly in my lifetime. I mean, when you think about some of the names that's on this list, no matter how you feel about them, you got John Harbaugh, Antonio Pierce, Raheem Morris, Kevin Stefanski, Cliff Kingsbury, Jim Schwartz, Chris Shula, Anthony Weaver, Jesse Mentor, Brian Flores, Jonathan Gannon. Jesus, I don't even know how many names I just rattled off, 10 or 11, maybe 12. And there's possible, hold on, Kubiak, Ted Monken, Jeff Ulbrich. I mean, I took notes. We've also got some other potential guys joining this list. Mike Tomlin, Nick Sirianni, Sean McDermott, Sean McVay. You can't tell me that Mike Tomlin, the rumors, the smoke that we're hearing out of Pittsburgh is safe in his position. He may not want to be there. Ownership may think it's time for a change. And if he's available, he probably shoots to the top of the list. I didn't even mention Mike McCarthy, who's still out there, still available. I think he'll have a job next year. Just a ton of names. And when you think about these teams going into wild card weekend, you think about some of these first-time head coaches, Ben Johnson, who's leading his 14-3 record holding Chicago Bears. And then you got Liam Cohen, who I believe they're 14-3 also with the Jags. And what Clint Kubiak's done with these Seattle Seahawks, I think they're 14-3 also. I mean, you look at some of these people, some of these teams, there's a lot of reason to be excited about us getting our next head coach. But it shows that some of these guys, two of them are first-time head coaches, and look at where they are this year. And I would dare say that I would have never pegged them to have the record that they have this year. Not the way they finished last season. So when you get the head coach right, good things can happen, particularly when you have good pieces already in place on your team. And I think the Giants have a lot of good pieces in place on their team. But before I break it all down, don't forget, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. So every time we drop some new content, you'll be the first one notified. And if you like it and got a friend that likes the content, what you think will like the content, share it with them so that they can catch our videos as well. So there's a few things that I look for when I look at our head coach. And I know we have different perspectives and whatever, and you can have your perspective and that's fine, but this is my perspective, right? So the first thing that I look for, and this is non-negotiable, it doesn't matter if it's a first-year head coach or if it's a seasoned veteran coach coming in. These are the things that I look to for a head coach. Number one, they got to have leadership qualities that shows they know how to lead men. I don't care if they led men as an OC, DC, or head coach. I need to see that they are capable of leading men. In this league, we have a lot of diva-like players, and sometimes you need to reel their egos in and have them calm the fuck down and just execute the play the way that it was drawn up. And I need guys, a head coach, that is going to be able to do that. And the reason I say guys, because we're looking for an HC, DC, and OC. And I want to see that at every level of our coaching staff, even their assistants, right? Number two, we want to make sure that this is a coach that's able to convey their vision, what they want to see in this team, and the players buy in. Not that they got to yell it out, not that they have to be on the sidelines losing their minds, but they need to be able to convey this message in a measured way that resonates with the team. A lot of candidates out there that can do that. We've seen them do it. We know they're capable, but this is what I want to see. Number three, I need to know that these players respect him, not just the rookies coming in, because that comes with just entering the NFL, somebody who's already there. But these veterans who have already they've already gained the respect of them. And that will transfer over to some of these newer players. And I want to see a coach that has the ability to develop talent, right? You get some guys who coming in raw. They were real good playing in the SEC or whatever college program they were in. They come in and they were really good at dominating players who were either good or okay, but not like at the NFL level good. I want to see them develop those players, help them to get rid of some of the bad habits, improve on some of the good ones, help them improve their technique, and to be good players. Even if they're not starters, but they're going to be depth pieces. One day they might be a starter if they know how to develop these players into becoming the best version of the athletes that they can become. And I want them to be able to hold these players accountable, right? When you see a player giving up on routes, when you see a player stopping it, not blocking or hitting instead of tackling, when you see a player not catching the ball with his hands, but letting it hit the body and holding it, you need to be able to hold them accountable. Tell them what they're doing wrong. If you see your franchise quarterback not taking or making the right decision to slide or get out of bounds, so you need to be able to tell him that, even though he's the guy. Hold players accountable. And I don't give a shit if you've been here for 5 years, 6 years, you just signed a big contract, or you trying to make the team. You got to hold all these players accountable, not diminish their value to the team, but hold them accountable, because those little decisions are the difference sometimes between winning and losing games. You know why? Because if you're injured, you're not available, and your best ability is availability. So, number two, I want to know what our identity is. And I want that coach to be able to come in here and tell us this is what we're working towards and this is who we want to be. When I think about some of these teams, like when I thought about the Baltimore Ravens last year, I thought that they were just going to be able to run the ball whenever they wanted to. You got a guy who's got just incredible talent in Lamar Jackson, who can create when the play breaks down, and then sometimes they're designed runs. You got King Henry, he's unbelievable to be his age and still be able to perform at the level he does. But I do want to just pay tribute to him in a little bit of way, because his workout regimen and what he does to keep his body right is impressive. So he's willing to do what most people aren't, and that's why he can continue to play at that. But their identity is they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball and do whatever they want to do on the ground to set up the pass. And we've seen that time and time again with them. It used to be their identity was their defense, right? When I think about the Detroit Lions, what's their identity? Them some gritty dudes. They get after it, man. They are aggressive. They are physical. They are fast. And then they make smart decisions. I want a coach that's able to convey his philosophy, his vision for the team, and for him to do it in a way that it resonates with the players, where you can see that they are delivering, like you see with a Dan Campbell-led Lions team. I want a clear identity. That's smart, tough, dependable. I get it, right? But aren't those characteristics and attributes that you got to have anyway? I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm saying we already know. You tell me you got 2 hands, I assume I got 10 fingers. I get it, right? I want to know, who are we supposed to be? Giants used to be known for their ferocious defense, that smash mouth football. During our playoff runs, we had awesome running games. Our rushing attack was to be feared. What is our identity today? I still don't know. I don't know who we are. I know we got some really good pieces. I thought our identity was going to be this ferocious pass rush this year. And eventually, I think we did kind of get to that. And, big ups to Charlie Bullen and what he did during the last few games of the season, because he took over a defense that was just full of talent and underperforming. And by the end of the year, these guys was clicking. They were clicking. Say what you want, feel what you want. We should have lost. Okay, I get it. We should have lost. We didn't. We won. We are what we are. We're 4-13. One game better than we were last year. And we probably should have lost to get the number 2 pick and get more assets. But we are where we are. But our identity is something that I want to be established by this new head coach. I also want a head coach that believes in player development just as much as they believe in winning games. I'm not saying put development ahead of winning because I want to win, but you got to know how to develop these guys. And it shows that we didn't do that well because we had no depth. And then we had guys who were regressing. You can't have a guy like Dexter Lawrence who stopped developing and started to look like he wasn't even himself. And I get it. He's facing double and triple teams, but he was doing that before and he was able to get through them. I don't think that technique was something that they were looking at with him anymore because they just said that's Dex he going to get through. No, Dex still needs to be developed also. And we saw the regression when that doesn't happen. You can't just have guys thinking, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do me and will myself into a good game without having a plan. You got to have different strategies and design plays that sometimes help players to develop in ways that you were coaching them to get better and improve. And we did not see that this year. So I want to see a coach that has player development as one of the principal points of what it means to be a coach. And as a coach, isn't that part of the name coach, to develop, to teach, to improve, to show? Like, I didn't see a lot of coaching. I saw play calling and hoping guys execute it, but you didn't coach them up to get them to a place where they could execute the play. I want to see that. And game management competence is a huge one for me. How do you go into a game 2 years in a row and you not have a able-bodied kicker on the roster? The Giants did that 2 years in a row. You know what our identity has been? Incompetence. I want to see game management competence. I don't want to see a head coach throwing a challenge flag on a play that looks like they're probably going to lose it in the first 10 minutes of a game. We saw Kafka do that in the first 5 minutes of a game. I think it was on the first drive of a game. It's like, why are you throwing a challenge flag right there? Is it even worth it? It wasn't in a game scoring situation either. It was, he got the first down, so punt the ball. You don't need to get the first. So what? It's okay. Like, that's not good game management, timeout management, clock management. I need a coach that understands these nuances that can be a huge, huge inflection point at some point in the game. I want to see that. Don't lose the game because you didn't have a timeout later. And in situational football, there are certain times, and I get it, the league has transitioned to this place where everybody thinks that they're going to convert on a fourth down. Sometimes you don't need to convert on a fourth down. Sometimes you don't need to punch it in and get the touchdown. Your defense is playing well. Your defense is stopping them all game. Kick the field goal. Your defense is going to stop them again anyway. And when you get the ball, execute your plays better. And this time, hopefully, you'll score a touchdown. You do not have to score a touchdown. And sometimes you want to be aggressive. Sometimes you're still being haunted by what happened in the prior week. And you want to make sure you put them away. I get it. Make good decisions. There's a time and a place for that. Be able to have the discernment to know when you're supposed to go for it and be aggressive and when you're just trying to be cute. We don't need cute. We need wins. Those are my non-negotiables. Those are the things that I need to see. I want to see. And I don't care if you're a seasoned veteran or you one of these defensive, offensive coordinators who have aspirations and have proven that you deserve an opportunity to be a head coach. But you got to be able to do those things. So when I'm thinking about an experienced head coach, though, and it's probably where I'm leaning toward, and I'm going to say this because there's just too many good experienced head coaching options out there. Not because I don't think that the non-experienced head coaches, good experience with DCOC, not because I don't think they're good. I just think that why would I go to a guy who hasn't proven himself yet when I got these options of people who have? So when I look at these guys, John Harbaugh, Antonio Pierce, Raheem Morris, Kevin Stefanski, and these are the guys that are available now. There are more that are probably Jonathan Gannon. there are more that are going to be options. I would even throw Cliff Kingsbury into that, I should say. And then after the playoffs, we don't know if Mike Tomlin's going to be available. We don't know if Nick Sirianni's going to be available. And I came up with a list. I wrote all this stuff down because there's so many names. Sean McDermott. Are they tired of having a Josh Allen-led offense and still can't win a Super Bowl? And if they lose, if they get cooked by the Jags, is he going to be an option? Is he going to be available? Sean McVay. Is he just knowing that they're at the end of their road with their superstar quarterback Matthew Stafford, and maybe this if they don't make it this year, he knows that they're probably not going to go much further than that? Because honestly, and I look at Chris Shula, and he's a hot name out there. Their defense, while they have been okay, they've been good. They haven't been great. So he's good, but they may have aspirations to elevate him in Los Angeles as the Rams head coach, but he's not as high on my list as he is on other people's lists. But experienced head coaches. When the Giants the first interview they had was with Kevin Stefanski. Good coach. I have my reservations about Kevin Stefanski. I don't like the fact that they started the year having, 5 quarterbacks on the roster? Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson. You had Shador Sanders. Then they drafted Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco. Like, what are you doing? Well, you got all those quarterbacks in. What are you really doing? What are you saying to the quarterbacks that are there? I thought that was just stupid. It was ridiculous. And don't forget, Kevin Stefanski let Baker Mayfield go, who Baker Mayfield has shown that he is still a very good quarterback. I don't know how I feel about him. Do I think he's a good coach? Maybe. There are things that I can point to that says yes. And if the head coaching options weren't as broad as they are, he'd look even better to me. He looks good, but honestly, he wasn't the guy for me anyway. Other people are saying, oh, you crazy, man. You going to pass on Kevin Stefanski? Yes, I would. I fucking absolutely would pass on him. Now, there are good things he's done, but there's also things that make me say, what are you talking about? I told you my non-negotiables. Leader of men. He didn't lead that locker room the way I would have wanted him to lead it. You want to give credit to that defense? You better credit Jim Schwartz. He is good. I'd love to have him as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. What he's been able to do with Myles Garrett and the rest of that defense? Can you imagine if he had Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Okereke? Can you imagine what he would do with that? Darius Alexander? Love to have him. So I'm not going to give Stefanski credit for what I think Jim Schwartz did, because honestly, if it wasn't for what Jim Schwartz did, a lot of these Cleveland Browns games this year would not have been entertaining. It would borderline be unwatchable. So, is he a good coach? Yeah. But I think he's riding on the coattails of other people's work. That's what I think. And then after Black Monday, John Harbaugh becomes available. It's like, oh, now we ain't even looking at Kevin Stefanski. Or maybe we are trying to keep him as an option, but now everybody's like, jump on board with John Harbaugh. He another one, though. I like John Harbaugh. I did a podcast week 8, week 9, and I said, yo, if John Harbaugh ever becomes available, but he's not, because they just signed him to an extension for 3 years, got him locked up through 2028. He's not, but if he ever becomes available, I want him. He's available. He's an option. But do we jump on him? He had Lamar Jackson, 2-time NFL MVP, still haven't won a Super Bowl with him. With that defense playing the way that they've been playing, with King Henry racking up yards the way he racking them up, with that receiving core lively back there catching everything that's thrown his way. Mark Andrews out there looking like a Hall of Fame tight end, and he ain't even nowhere near retirement. He had a Wink-led defense. I mean, come on. I mean, he's had winning seasons consistently throughout his coaching career. But when you got that much talent at the quarterback, running back, defense, and you still haven't arrived at a Super Bowl, all I'm saying is he is still, listen, I still like him a whole lot. And I think he's going to be an incredible head coach. And I think if he were the coach of the Giants, I'd be very happy. But what I'm saying is you can't get too excited. First of all, it ain't good for business. You get all excited and shit about something that you see, the salesmen see it, the price goes up. You can't do that. You got to be measured in your approach with that. But I like him. Raheem Morris, another experienced head coach. But you look at what he did in Atlanta with all the talent he got out there. I mean, that division was just shit anyway, right? But you would think that with all the talent that Raheem Morris had in Atlanta, that they would have done much better in that division. But they did not. But he's experienced. And I still think that he'd be a good defensive coordinator. So, Antonio Pierce, former Giant, helped us win a Super Bowl. I like Antonio Pierce. He did a good job when he was with the Raiders. I really think that they cut him too short. I think he did a better job than Pete Carroll. They should have kept him. But they moved on from him. But I think Antonio Pierce, he may be a good defensive coordinator candidate. But right now, he's a head coaching candidate. He will interview for the job with the Giants. At least I think he's going to interview with him. I know Raheem Morris is scheduled an interview. Cliff Kingsbury, he's another one. But for the seasoned head coaches, I also think if the Texans beat the Steelers, Mike Tomlin can very well be available too. I don't think that it's safe to say he's going to be back next year. My wife, her whole family, they're Pittsburgh people. We're in Pittsburgh a few times a year, and every time we out there, all they talk about is Pittsburgh sports. Whether it's the Pirates, the Penguins, or the Steelers, and the Steelers is the top of the list. They all talk about Pittsburgh sports, and they are not happy. I would say 7 out of 10 people you talk to in Pittsburgh, they like Mike Tomlin, but they over Mike Tomlin. They think it's time to move on. And ownership hears that. And this is about right. 18 years. That's why they keep coaches in Pittsburgh. It's about time for a change. Maybe it's time for a change for Tomlin. So right now, it started off, get Kevin Stefanski. Then it was like, oh shit, Harbaugh's available. What happens after next weekend if Tomlin's available? Are you like, oh shit, Tomlin's available? Honestly, Tomlin's the guy who I would prefer over all of them. And I'll tell you why. Because you look at some of the talent that John Harbaugh has had in Baltimore and still wasn't able to win a Super Bowl. You look at some of the talent that I'm going to even throw Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy had in Dallas and still couldn't win a Super Bowl. You look at some of the talent that Kevin Stefanski had. He let Baker go, who proved he's a Pro Bowl playoff quarterback, that he let go. You look at what Mike Tomlin's had to work with. He had, what's his name? Mason Rudolph start a season for him, and they still ended up with a winning record. I think they went to the playoffs that year. He had Kenny Pickett as his quarterback and still had a winning season and probably went to the playoffs. I don't remember if they went to the playoffs when he was their starter, but they still ended up with a winning season. He has had recycled quarterbacks. What's the kid's name? I forget his name. He's the backup for Josh Allen now up in Buffalo. Top prospect. I forget where he played. Whatever. And he still managed to win games. He won with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Went to the playoffs with them. And Russell Wilson's going to go to the Hall of Fame, but he's not who he used to be, people. I would take Mike Tomlin. So what I'm saying is we need to wait and see. But these are guys, they've already been able to do it. And you know what I keep thinking about? I think about Andy Reid, man. Andy Reid in his second landing spot, and he was able to win a Super Bowl, and not just a Super Bowl, a few of them. He had good pieces. The Giants got a lot of good pieces. You come to the Giants, and I do think whether it be John Harbaugh and I guess I'm a little partial to the AFC North, Harbaugh or Tomlin, I think we got a really good chance of being a much better team next year. I ain't gonna start talking Super Bowl or no shit like that, but we're gonna be a much improved team because you got better leadership, you got better coaching, you got guys who know how to run teams, who know how to run practices, who knows how to handle the media. Can you imagine Tomlin with the New York sports media, how some of his interviews would go? Oh, that would be epic. Absolutely epic. But I think either one of these guys, they've already checked my boxes. They've built winning cultures at least one time, several times in certain cases. They've learned from prior mistakes. When you got an offensive or defensive coordinator who's not getting the job done, you get rid of them. John Harbaugh did that in his winning season. He fired his OC and hired a new guy and won a Super Bowl in the same season. You can't be afraid to do that. You got to be comfortable delegating how you want your vision to be executed to your coordinators and making sure it happens. And he does that. And you can't be feeling threatened by the noise outside. Just play your game or coach your team. Do what you do. And these guys have both proven that they are not. Listen, these guys been doing this longer than some fans have been fans. They know how to handle the noise. And I think that that's an important quality and trait that you got to have. And then for these first time head coaching options, there's other things that I need to see also, like what kind of vision you have. And these are things that I won't necessarily see or you won't necessarily see because this will happen during the interview process. But do they have the right vision? And I think the Giants have to do the right thing and interview these guys too. But I don't want another Joe Judge scenario. I don't want another offensive coordinator turned head coach who really didn't do what we saw that with Kafka. We saw that with Dable. I don't want to see that. We saw that with Bob McAdoo. We don't want to see that again. But somebody who's got vision, they can think in terms of how the new way of football is being played. We got tush pushes. Nobody wants to punt the ball on fourth down. Everybody wants to go for 2-point, like this new kickoff thing. Like the game is changing a little bit. So we want somebody who thinks in terms of the changes that are there. They bring the right energy, ability to grow the roster. Like these are things that I would want to see if they're going to look for a first-time head coach. I have to talk about that. I don't want them to get a first-time head coach. I honestly don't think that Joe Schoen is going to do that. I don't think he needs to gamble in that way, but I think he would be remiss and not a very good general manager if he didn't explore all options, So, and no matter who they pick up, there needs to be some type of display of leadership capabilities. They've shown they can lead men. Oh my God. I just had a flashback of when the Indianapolis Colts hired Jeff Saturday to be their head coach, a guy who never had any head coaching experience, any defensive coordinator experience. He did nothing on an NFL roster except for play football, and they made him the head coach. What a fucking disaster that was. I hope the Giants never do anything like that too. So, the Giants, they got some choices. There are a lot of options out there. I think they need to be very measured in their approach. I think they have an excellent list to choose from. And I also think that the Giants is probably the most attractive job for a head coach right now. The only caveat to that is Joe Schoen is still there. And I have to remind myself that head coaches probably view Joe Schoen differently than fans do. So I think with the right coach, and if they're able to have good symmetry between the two of them, head coach and general manager, it could work. I do think that Joe Shane can be influenced, and Dable showed him by the coaches of what they want to see. Dart is there, make no mistake about it, as a direct result of Brian Dable lobbying to get him. It wasn't a push from Joe Shane. He ultimately agreed to it, so he gets the credit, but he's there because Dable lobbied to get him, and Joe Shane eventually broke and said, okay. That may have taught him something. And if that taught him something, and depending on what happens in these interviews, if Tomlin or Harbaugh, and I'm saying this in order of who I would like to see, Tomlin, Harbaugh, Stefanski, if they can develop symmetry with Joe Shane, no matter which one of them is going to be hired as the head coach, I think it would be okay. Let me not say I think it would be okay. I know it'll be okay. I think it will work out very well. I'm not going to get up here and say the Giants are going to do some Chicago Bears type shit. They're going to do some Jacksonville Jaguars type shit, being, playoff bound next year. I think they can. I absolutely do. I really think we're just a head coach away from having a viable playoff contending team. So we'll see what happens. My dream is Mike Tomlin, head coach, and I will take either Jim Schwartz, Jesse Mentor, Anthony Weaver, Jeff Ulbrich, defensive coordinator. And I'd love to see if they keep Kafka, that would be cool. I'd be cool with that as the OC, but bring Cliff Kingsbury in. I don't know how Cliff Kingsbury lost his job. I don't think it was his fault. That there must have been something else going on there, because he's a good OC. He knows how to draw up some plays. And I was really shocked to see him be let go. But I also know John Harbaugh likes Ted Monken. So if he becomes the new head coach, and he may want to bring Ted Monken. I mean, that was the sticking point for him in Baltimore. He didn't want to part with him, and management wanted to. They were really tired of, getting to the playoffs and not winning the Super Bowl, and they thought it was Monken's fault. So I'll take him. Shit. I just want to be a winning organization again, and I think ultimately one of these guys is going to bring us a ring. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm real interested in hearing what you guys think about some of these candidates. If you think that we have a good chance of finally turning the corner and being relevant again, and having a respectable head coach the first time since Tom Coughlin. Let me know what you think. I'm interested in hearing it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so every time we drop some new content, you're one of the first ones to be notified. I appreciate you guys. Go Big Blue.
Yeah, a lot of girls probably crying from my old high school. Look, they see me everywhere they go. I probably would too. Look, crossed over to the Jordan man like I'm Michael. Yeah, eating blessings so much I might need lipo. Yeah, tailored for the doves like I'm walking in chucks. Yeah, it's just in this plan, man, I see how y'all shook. Look, knew that I was great ever since I was a rook. Man, all y'all singles making me look good. Okay, praise to the Most High, yeah, that's Jesus. Look, but when it come to this rap thing, I can't lose. Yeah, back-to-back number ones, that's the thing greats do. Yeah, tell them boys that ain't nothing I can't do. It's my year. It's my year. Look.